Mi computadora. See if that is, yeah. Okay. And Cristel, did you already start university? Yes.
Yes,
When did you start?
I started on Friday.
On Friday. That's why you
Yeah.
were not here with us.
Yeah,
And how was it?
it's a little difficult.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the first class are the introduction,
Mm-hmm.
and the Saturday it was my first class.
Okay. Good. So, yeah, it's hard because you have just one day of classes, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have to do a lot of things. Yeah, and you have to study and check a lot of things. Uh-huh. So you will. This is time consuming, of course, when we are studying, right, guys? Okay. Just think that you can do it, and of course, try to organize your time as good as possible, right? Last Thursday, no. Yeah, it was last Thursday that we were talking about reported speech, remember? We are going to refresh just for a while before checking something about vocabulary and information about how to form individual questions that are quite common in certain contexts, especially in English, of course, right? We were talking about the differences between direct speech, remember? When we say, the manager told me, well, direct speech is the manager says when we don't change, of course, when we don't change any of the words with the reporting verbs, especially said and told. These are the main reporting verbs, the main two reporting verbs. But if we use the reporting verb in past, remember that we also move the other verbs, right? So in the reporting verb is in the past, he said or he told me, right? As Crystal said, they gave us and they said that it what was going to be or is going to be difficult, no? Because we need to invest a lot of time. So the main verb goes to the back or remains the same. Remember the exercise we were talking? Some of the keys are different, but it's basically the same thing. So this is between quotations. So it's something that never changes. That they say when they were selling a product, no? The keyword or whatever, no, with a tablet, a new tablet or a new laptop or computer, that the keys are different, but it's basically the same thing. So this is between quotations. It doesn't change, right? But if we change certain of the ideas, like the salesman told me or said to all the customers that some of the keys were different. So we have to be careful, no? Because sometimes it doesn't have an ñ, right? Because it is English, right? It's not a Spanish keyword, right? He said it worked just as well as the famous one. Remember? Are you remembering that we are using, of course, the reporting verbs in past? Said, or told us, told her, or told him. And the other verb, what happens to the other verb? After the verb said or told, the main verb goes to the back or remains the same. It doesn't change or it goes back, according to what we did last Thursday. Are you remembering now? Yes? Very Nazaria?
Yeah,
Yes?
it's about
Purpose.
listening to the Friday. Was Friday?
No, no. On Friday, we were having speaking. On Friday, we were having a speaking.
Yes, we saw this topic on Thursday.
It
Yeah,
was on
yeah,
Thursday.
Thursday.
It was last Thursday. Yeah. So, and in order to refresh that, can you tell me if the main verb moves to the one tends to back or remains the same? What would be? the idea in this. What is the correct alternative in number 1? Number 1 is moves 1/10 back or remains the same when we are using a reporting verb in the past, said or told. What would you say? What is the correct alternative, guys? You have to tell me.
Remains the same.
The verb remains the same. Look at the original. These are the original, no? Some of the things are different, but it's basically the same thing. Oh yes, you can mount it on the wall yourself. So it was talking about a screen or a TV. And then the salesman said some of the keys were different. He said that it worked just as well as the famous brand. The delivery guy told me I could mount it on the wall myself, right? So the verb remains the same, or there are changes. There is a link, no? The link about reported speech that you helped me send, Jose Ramon, remember, in the chat.
Yeah, we do it.
So, si tenemos el verbo en pasado, el verbo principal
So
del
moves
reporte,
1/10 back.
it moves 1/10 back, ¿no? Si este verbo no cambia al pasado, the main verb remains the same. But if we said, he said, or he told me, he told me that he loved me, no? Once, but probably it has changed, no? Okay, so it goes back 1/10 back, no? It is 1/10 back, right? And this link that I'm just telling you is just to remind you all the changes that we have: present tenses into past tenses into past participle, right? Some modal verbs also change, remember, like can into could, may into might, but must and should, they don't change, right? And that is necessary or is optional?
It
They
is
would,
necessary.
he told me they were different. He told me that it worked, or he told me that it could work. It's optional, no? I will say that it's optional. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, it can be there or not necessarily, and nothing happens. Said or told requires an object pronoun, me, her, John, us.
The
The verb said or told?
toll.
Told me. I told us. I said no. Said doesn't require anything, right? He said in general, right? But he told me. Okay, let's do one activity. Well, a couple of activities at least on page 150, guys, about this before moving on to the next, of course, the next activity and finishing this lesson, right? So in the grammar part, of course, 150. So just refreshing, of course, this. All right. So in that case, well, reported speech, we have the main changes. Well, I gave you a link that is probably more visual with more colors, but it's similar to this, right? That we have direct speech and the reporting verbs, and then reported speech, of course, changes, right? I go there every day. He said that she went there every day, right? Or he or he said that he or she went to there every day, right? Or she was working, so present, mainly present into past. Would, for example, don't change, but will into would, right? And of course, some modal verbs, like must into had better, must. Well, we don't have must here, but should doesn't change. And well, here it doesn't have all the modal verbs and different tenses that I gave you in the link, but it's a similar one, right? Okay. So just if we change the reporting verb, say that told, no? It moves back 1/10. Also, some other things change, like pronouns. I into he probably, or she into we or they, or time expressions, this into that. He told me that he loved me that day, right? Not this day or this morning, that morning, right? There into tonight, yesterday into the day before or the previous day, right? So these are the most common changes, right? Not that if you, of course, don't have a reporting verb in past, well, the action is the same. Me dijo que esto es así, right? So you don't change, right? You don't change. But if it has changed, si ya la cosa ya cambió, the feeling, the action, the thing, we use reporting speech, especially in news, no? In news, reports, sometimes, well, more than reports, articles, opinions, TV news or certain journals, right? Or even gossips, ¿no? También algunos chismes, ¿verdad? Of course, from the show business or people, celebrities, ¿no? Etc. Right? This is very common in certain TV shows, no? Or TV programs as well, right? Using this kind of structure. Can we please go to page 151, exercise B? Well, exercise 2. This is, both are in 7A, exercise 2. Let's start with exercise 2, please. Can you complete with any of the correct form of this verse? The reporting verb is already here, as you can see, promise, told. So you don't have to use it because it's already there. Wonders. What would be the idea of wonder? Said, no? Mhm. What would be the idea of
Wonder is like ask.
ask? He wondered, he asked. Mhm. Or we ask ourselves. No? We ask ourselves. So, which of these would you use and in which form? As you can see, we can have that or no, not necessarily, right? The teacher promised that we
Learn.
that uh, we learned in present, Cristel, or in past, or what do you mean?
Learned.
That we learned Spanish in 3 weeks, no? But in this case, look, this is a promise and Spanish in 3 weeks. So this is like for future, no? The teacher promised that we would learn, no? Because
Okay, yes.
a promise is you will learn, you will do this, you will learn Spanish, you will do that, no? So will changes into would, no? Because a promise is always in will, using will. That's why. So just be careful with that. So that we would learn Spanish, right? We would learn Spanish in 3 weeks, or we will learn English or French or whatever. He told us if he could fix the internet connection. He told us what? If he could fix the internet connection. What would you say?
He was. Oh, no.
Well, we already use learn. Okay, so don't use learn again. What other? Okay, learn, it's already used. Any other? So if we have if, that means that it is a condition, right?
Be.
Sorry?
The verb is could be.
If he could be, no, you have to use any of these verbs. Yes, be. If he could be, if he could, but if he could be what? What would be the idea here, Nazareth? He told us if he could be, if he could fix the internet connection. No? Okay, continue with the next. We wonder where the restrooms were
Located.
Locate.
were located, where the restrooms were located. Located. In this case, were located. So we already have this one as well. Okay. So we are missing 3, right?
Yes.
She
Mention.
mentioned that the concierge would not be back until 1 p.m. So mention, right? In present or in past?
In present.
If we use the reporting verb in present, that means that we don't have to change. We don't have to change the other main verb. This is the main clause, the main idea. That's why it's reported speech, because if we use the verbs in past, we are reporting what was mentioned, what was said, what happened. That's why this is in would, for example, right? For the promise into would, right? Because it is not in direct speech, right? O sea, no está en forma directa, está en forma indirecta. So that means that the verb should be in past. Yes? Si no, no cambiaría the main clause, right? And the manager said that the elevators
Been. Be.
Is working.
the elevators
Where?
were
Where.
broken. Were broken.
Where.
The elevators were broken. Estaban descompuestos. Were broken, right? Correct. So we are missing, of course, this one. He told us that he
Didn't know.
didn't know if he could fix the internet connection, no? That it wasn't that simple or that easy. But he didn't know. Didn't know. What about letter A? What about letter A, the first exercise here? In this case, you have to, of course, you have to say which is the mistake or which ones are the mistakes. He said he doesn't know where was the parking lot. When we are using reporting
He
speech,
doesn't knew.
no, doesn't know is in present. Entonces está bien, no sabe. It's probably a fact, ¿no? Es un hecho.
Yes.
Probably he didn't know. He didn't know. He said he didn't know because we have the reporting verbs. Entonces, si el verbo said is the reporting verb y está en pasado, this one is in past, ¿no? He said he didn't know, where the parking lot was. Nada más que el verbo to be en este reported speech or indirect questions, indirect speech queda al final. This is was. He didn't know where the parking lot was. No idea. He mentioned, also in past, that he,
She.
the reporting verb is in past.
So,
Eso está en pasado.
entonces, el want está mal.
She wouldn't.
She wouldn't be back in time for the party. She wouldn't. Porque will va a cambiar a would. Hay que estudiar, chicos, la parte de de changes, los cambios nada más. Please. The changes voy a cambiarles esta. Okay. So let's practice the changes, especially the changes that we have, of course, for reported speech, right? Porque si no los estudiamos, pues se nos van a olvidar rápido. And if we don't practice them, of course, they are going to be totally forgotten. They will be totally forgotten, of course, right? So here the report, remember, and that's why I think I think this is my personal opinion, that this diagram, the one that you have, of course, in the link that I gave you, and you can, of course, open anytime that you want. This is a good time to open it, of course. The one that was sent by Jose Ramon on Thursday, because I asked him to resend him. The one about this English, right? Jose Ramon and Azaria, both of you, right? Send it.
Yes.
Yes.
So remember I'm trying to open it. Remember to check just the differences, of course, in order to make the changes, in order to do it faster, probably, and easier. No, you can just check it. In this moment, we are of course refreshing. We are checking that. Let me check. Here it is. Okay. Okay, here it is. I don't know if you can. Did you open it or no?
Yes, right now
Yes.
it's
Okay, so remember, we did the first exercise, but what about the explanation, of course, especially in the main changes, right, that we have in the verb forms, right? These are direct speech, so exactly the words that were said, no? These are words that were said by the people, and then the reporting one, lo que fue reportado, ¿no? The same happens in Spanish, right? We don't say, me dijo que había estado en tu casa. No decimos, me dijo que está en tu casa. No, ¿verdad? No lo usamos así en español, ¿o sí? Me dijo que estaba en tu casa, o que había estado en tu casa, o que estuvo en tu casa. No me dijo que está en tu casa, solo que siga ahí. Yes?
Sí.
So we are doing exactly the same. So if it hasn't changed, well, we don't make any changes, but we don't use a reporting verb in past. So we said, she says you are there, or she says he's there, but he said he was there. He was there yesterday, last week, this morning, I don't know, right? It has changed. So the main changes, remember? Present into past, mainly, will into would, must into have to, can into could, may into might, and could, might, and should. They don't change. They remain the same. These are the only three modal verbs that don't change, right? But the rest, we made the changes, right? Okay, let's do another exercise here just to refresh it and to start the next lesson, please. We have already done the first one. What about the second exercise? Could you do it at home? No, not time, right? Not time. What would be the correct option? A, B, or C? I need to see Sarah this weekend. George said that, or George
He
said,
need he needed to see Sarah this weekend.
He needed to see Sarah this weekend. Sure, this or that
Or
weekend?
that weekend.
that weekend.
Because in this, of course, form, in this
Is
structure,
that
also this changes into that. No, that's why it can be a little confusing, right? I'm reading now. Sally told me.
she told me that she was reading at the moment.
At that moment, that she was reading at that moment. I don't know if it has changed or no. Now, I haven't seen Barbara since last year. Right? Brandon told me.
He hadn't seen Barbara since the year before.
Haven't seen Barbara, no? Since the year before. Thank you, Jose Ramon. Have you signed the contract? Have you signed the contract? Susan told me or asked me or said. Well, this is a question, right? This is a question, right? Yes.
Letter B.
Asked me because it's a question. Susan asked me whether I had signed the contract. So instead of using if, we can use whether for questions. This is a yes, no question. If or whether I have signed the contract. Where did you eat? Another question. Some ask me. This is interesting because we are going to check today. We are going to check in today's lesson, in the beginning of this lesson, indirect questions. This is a direct question, the question that we already know how to make. Where did you eat? What did you do yesterday? No? How was your weekend? Direct question. But now, with report
Is it
Where I
speech.
have
true?
eaten,
Uh-huh.
letter B.
Where I had eaten. Where I had eaten.
Okay,
Because
okay.
because we are using reporting structure and an indirect question. This is something that we are going to go a little deeper today. Reporting, of course, questions in indirect speech, right? Where had I eaten? So in that case, with indirect speech, if we are reporting a question, it is like an affirmative form, affirmation, as you can see, because of the indirect form, right? The indirect question. Some asked me where I had eaten. So it's like an affirmative statement. Where are you going tomorrow? Another question. Sandra asked me, do it as an affirmative statement. After where, Sandra asked me, where
Where was I going the next day?
the following day.
The following day.
Where I was going, like an affirmative form, because we are reporting. So they are called indirect questions in indirect speech. Because we are
Okay.
reporting. So this is an affirmative form. After the, of course, the indirect form, right? The indirect speech, right? So where I
Okay.
was going the
I got
following day. Yeah, It can be confusing. It can sound confusing and weird, but this is the way native speakers use it. May I smoke in this room? Mickey asked me. Remember, if this is a yes, no question, I'm going back. Yes, no question, we can use if or whether. But the difference is like we are reporting it. We are reporting that question. This is an affirmative form after the reporting verb. After the reporting verb is affirmative form because we are reporting a question. But if this is a yes, no question, but just if or whether, WH question, just the same, with WH and then affirmative form. But this is a yes, no question again, no? So if or whether, may I smoke in this room? Mickey asked me.
I
Whether he smoked in that room.
Whether he smoked in that room. But remember that, okay, may, do you remember the changes?
yeah, if
May changes into?
Might.
Into might. Into might.
Is letter
if
B.
he might smoke in the room.
In that room. Correct. The ones that don't change are the ones that are could. If it was could I, it doesn't change. Could. Might I, but it's not common to us with might. And I'm living in Australia. Sarah told me, this is not a question, two correct answers.
She was living in Australia.
She was living in Australia, or
She had lived in Australia.
she had lived in Australia, right? Please sit here.
She told me to sit here.
She told me to
Or
sit
she
here.
said to sit here. There.
Or sorry.
Or letter B.
In fact, as this is This is an imperative form, right? Please sit here.
Yes.
This is imperative, but
Miss
imperative,
letter A.
Also.
imperative forms means that they are instructions, commands or instructions. Yes, Crystal, thank you. So ask me to sit there, because here changes into there. And said is not possible because this is not an affirmative form or negative form. This is an instruction. This is an order or a command. Yeah, or a command. More than that is an instruction or something like that. So the same happens with told or said. No? And here, well, no, it is not changing. So ask me to sit there. Can you give me a hand with the boxes? Peter asked me, as a request, of course, Peter asked me.
If could I give him a hand?
Could I give him? Remember that even though this is a question, or in this case, this is a request, in reporting questions, of course, we use an affirmative form, an affirmative structure, an affirmative sentence order.
If I could give me a hand.
If I could give him a hand, I could give him, no? Because somebody else, Peter, asked me, if I could give him, if I could give him, present changes into past, no? Can into could, no? If I could give him a hand, yes? Are you getting it? Are you getting it or no? And there was a mistake. Where was the mistake, guys? Almost at the end. Sound was correct. Where was the mistake? I jump it. I skip it. This was the mistake. Elegimos esta, ¿verdad? She has lived in Australia.
Yeah.
I'm living because it's present simple or present continuous, but it's present continuous, not past. Because have is for had lived for past, no? Past
Yeah.
simple changes into past perfect, but this one is present simple, right? So I'm living in Australia. Sarah told me she's living in Australia. No changes if it hasn't changed, if she is still there, if she continues there, right? As a fact, living there. Or if it has changed, because it has passed like 3 years or more probably, or we don't know if there is a different situation. She told me she was living in Australia. Call her and ask her, if you are going to Australia, probably you can save money, no? Not to stay in a hotel or Airbnb or whatever. Yes? So just be careful in the changes, right? Present into past. Or if the fact continues the same, it doesn't change, ¿no? Si no ha cambiado el hecho, pues sigue igual ahí, sí. No, Nazaria, como dices, it remains the same. It hasn't changed, right? Okay. ¿Ya no estamos acordando? Yes. We are refreshing it? Yes. Talking about questions, guys, look at this in the questions. And we are going to go back to our material, to our book, right? So in that case, please, in the same student's book, we are in in unit 7, part 2, right? Unit 7, lesson 2, right? What was the last little lie you told? Okay. Sorry. It was the one that we saw. So this one, that is how much of your day is screen time. We were talking about technology, remember? And we were talking about different issues and activities about using technology and the good and bad things about using technology. Talking about technology, look at this in exercise 2. Page 50. Look at this gadget. What is this? What do you think is this?
A vacuum?
Sorry? A vacuum. A vacuum. A vacuum. Okay. Yeah. Could be before the Chinese ones, no? The ones that you program. A vacuum cleaner. Crystal says a vacuum cleaner. Why not? A vacuum cleaner. Do you agree? Yes. Could be. It could be a vacuum cleaner, as it says. Any other idea of this invention? No?
No.
Let's listen and tell me. What do you think?
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk.
Okay, is the audio correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk, your weekly discussion program on what's new in tech. I'm joined in the studio this week by the editor of Technology World magazine, Paul LeBernard. This week, we are discussing young tech innovators. From medical breakthroughs, energy technologies, or engineering electronic devices. First, Paul, what makes someone an innovator?
Personally, I think innovators are persistent and inquisitive, and they are easily inspired by what they see around them. Take our first example this week, Brazilian tech innovator Nade Celine. She's an ex-computer science teacher, and she spent most of her career inventing new technology to help improve the quality of life for people with disabilities.
I see. We'd love to hear more. Can you tell us what her latest development is?
Well, do you have any idea how many Brazilian people have vision problems?
No, I don't.
6.5 million people. Do you know how many guide dogs there are in Brazil?
Absolutely no idea.
There are only 100 guide dogs. The problem is that buying, training, and looking after a guide dog can cost thousands of dollars. This is impossible for many blind people.
And this is where Nade Celine comes in?
Exactly. Nade has invented a robot guide dog called Lisa. Her invention has 5 sensors and 2 engines. It can tell the user about risks and obstacles via recorded voice messages. With this device, blind users can be guided around indoor areas such as shopping malls and schools. By 2020, Nade hopes Lisa will be used outside too.
It sounds amazing, but I wonder if this is really a more affordable solution. Do you have any idea how much it costs?
Well, Lisa still costs around $3,000, but this is far cheaper than a real guide dog. At the moment, the device is available to private and public companies, such as airports and hospitals. Nade eventually hopes to improve the dog with artificial intelligence and GPS. Her greatest ambition is to offer dignity and independence to the 253 million blind and visually impaired people around the world.
Well, that certainly sounds very inspiring. Let's move on to our next young innovator.
Is this a vacuum cleaner, guys?
No, it's a robot dog.
A dog robot.
Yeah, it's for to help to the blind people to obstacle when they walk into the street or something about that for a what problem that all time is happening with your life.
Aren't there guide dogs for that?
Yes, but it's so difficult to get a one.
To get one guide dog, it's not that easy. There are
No,
more
because
people.
it's a special dog.
Yeah, there are more blind people than guided dogs, of course. This is not that easy because they need training, no? And that is expensive. And it's probably cheaper than a guide dog, no? Probably. It's not the same, but it's probably cheaper. Look at the questions. Look at the questions that Lisa is the guide dog, or is the name of it. Okay. There are some questions about some inventions, right? Okay. Sorry, guys. Before going to these inventions, in order to correct about other innovations. Let's check the script. The script, I want you to check the audio script about this innovation, right? Well, probably it's not an innovation anymore because it has had some years, right? This, of course, edition. But look at the different, of course, questions, right? Different questions that were made. What questions were made? What makes someone an innovator? No? Another question that you can see here. Can you tell us what her latest development is, no? About this innovator?
Do you have any idea how many Brazilian people have a vision problems?
So we have many, especially the ones, thank you, the ones that we are here having underlined. Can you tell us what her latest development is? So talking about reported speech, and in the questions we say, the presenter as Paul, right? The presenter as Paul de Bernard, right? If he could tell them or tell us, the audience, if he could tell us what
Her latest
latest
development.
innovation was, no? It's exactly the same. What her latest latest development was, right? At the end. So you don't have to change in this case. When we have the verb to be, the order of the verb to be, it is at the end. But what about this one? There's no question. Paul, as the presenter, no? Paul, as the presenter, if or whether, remember that is if or whether when we have just no question. She knew how many guide dogs
there was in Brazil.
there were.
And
There were in Brazil, no? Paul asked the presenter if she knew how many guide dogs there were in Brazil, right? And that is the idea that we are changing, especially we are talking about the program afterwards, no? After the programs, we are changing some of the verbs, tenses, and probably the word order. For example, what is her latest development? We said what her latest development was. How many? No? How many guide dogs were there in Brazil? And what about number 3 in the question? No? Listen and complete.
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk, your weekly discussion program on what's new in tech. I'm joined in the studio this week by the editor of Technology World magazine, Paul LeBernard. This week, we are discussing young tech innovators. From medical breakthroughs, energy technologies, or engineering electronic devices. First, Paul, what makes someone an innovator?
Personally, I think innovators are persistent and inquisitive, and they are easily inspired by what they see around them. Take our first example this week, Brazilian tech innovator Neide Celine. She's an ex-computer science teacher, and she spent most of her career inventing new technology to help improve the quality of life for people with disabilities.
I see. We'd love to hear more. Can you tell us what her latest development is?
Well, do you have any idea how many Brazilian people have vision problems?
No, I don't.
6.5 million people. Do you know how many guide dogs there are in Brazil?
Absolutely no idea.
There are only 100 guide dogs. The problem is that buying, training, and looking after a guide dog can cost thousands of dollars. This is impossible for many blind people.
And this is where Neide Celine comes in?
Exactly. Neide has invented a robot guide dog called Lisa. Her invention has 5 sensors and 2 engines. It can tell the user about risks and obstacles via recorded voice messages. With this device, blind users can be guided around indoor areas such as shopping malls and schools. By 2020, NAID hopes Lisa will be used outside too.
It sounds amazing, but I wonder if this is really a more affordable solution. Do you have any idea how much it costs?
Well, Lisa still costs
Okay, so she said, do you have any idea how much? Do you have any idea how much? Do you remember? Because the original question is this one, or the direct question, but the one that she asked was, do you have any idea how much it costs? Because in indirect questions, not just in reported speech questions, but in indirect questions, we omit certain order of the direct questions or the questions that we already use. They are called object questions. Objetivizamos las preguntas, siempre las usamos así. Is the way we have used them. But in order to be politer, right? In order to be a little polite, you use indirect questions. Can you tell us? Do you know? I wonder. Do you have any idea? Can you tell me? Right? So these are questions that are polite. And for being polite means that we use an indirect idea, right? That is not like saying, what time is it? No, what time is it? Okay, I can ask you guys, what time is it? And in Mexico, it's like, okay, what time is it? It's 9 o'clock. No, it's almost 9. It's 5 to 9 or 3 to 9, right? Okay, guys, can you tell me the time? Can you tell me what the time is, please? Because the culture, Latin American culture is ruder like English culture, right? Si somos más directos en hacer preguntas, for us is normal, but for English cultures, especially in England, so many parts of the United States as well, Canada, of course, Canada, los canadienses son muy polite, y para ellos nosotros somos un poco rudos, because we are very direct, straightforward, vamos al grano, cuando preguntamos algo a veces, ¿no? ¿Yes o no? Cuando queremos ir al grano, somos rudos, y cuando
Yes.
le damos vueltas al asunto,
Yes.
damos muchas excusas. Es que no vine ayer, Sony, o no vine, teacher, no entré a la clase porque tuve que ser, no pude venir y ya. So this is a different in culture, right? So different cultures, different ways of speaking, right? También, yes. So that's why indirect questions are politer questions. I want you, please, to help me correct at least one. Correct the questions about innovation. Sorry. Esa es una search que van a hacer para el viernes, right? Talking about letter D. Here we have a review of a car. Look at this car, right? It's very small, but it's mainly for disabled people, no? Disabled people, as we can see, right? It's like more comfortable, no, for them. Okay, help me please, before ending this class, help me at least the first two questions. What would be for politer, of course, questions? Who is it designed for? Do you know? ¿Cómo sería? The polite question, the indirect question. Who is it designed for? Do you know?
And do you know what's designed for? No.
Who? No cambia, ¿no? Who it just changed like an affirmative form. Aunque sea pregunta, ustedes la tienen que hacer afirmación. The order is in affirmation, in affirmative. Listen, la primera y las otras las hacen en casita. We can check them tomorrow.
1,
Do you know who it's designed for?
Do you know who?
Do you know who's designed for?
Who's? No.
1,
Yeah,
Do you know who it's designed for?
It is.
okay.
It's. The contraction, the first is the subject. Do you know who it's designed for? It's designed for. So just change it because this is a polite question and we already have the beginning. Do you know? I like to know. Can you tell me? Could you tell me? I wonder. These are common phrases to introduce indirect questions, and the rest of the question is like an affirmative form. Affirmative form. In indirect questions, we don't have any auxiliary verb, right? Any auxiliary verb. That's why in this question, right? In the question we have here at the end, we omit the auxiliary verb do or does, right? Do you have any idea how much it costs? Right? As you can see, it's an affirmative, no? But with a question mark, no? Just think that this is an affirmative form with a question mark. And it's going to be easier because the word order is like in an affirmation. Yes? Yes, guys? Can you continue with the other 3? No, 4, no? How many questions for this card? Well, read the of course, the summary because tomorrow we are going to talk about this innovation. And from 2 to 5, can you please make the indirect questions? And tomorrow we continue, of course, practicing them. Yes?
Okay, Max.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Excellent night. Take care.
Bye, Miss. Take care.
Bye. You too.